prioritize, which has got more life.
Welcome to the February 11th, 2019 AHRB meeting. I know that we have two members out. We may pick up one of the other members who may be running late. Did we hear from Dipti? Did she? Okay, we'll see. We'll get started because we do have a quorum. Oh, here we go. Let's give her a minute.
Hey, Dippy. How are you?
Okay, first item on the agenda tonight is 78 Main Street. You have someone from 78? Yeah. So this is for the sign.
Yeah, we got two items on the list. One is the signage that we spoke about our previous session.
Yeah.
And then we've got a bigger alteration. With regard to the signage, and you guys can chime in, because my partners, Mike Love, Coffee Labs, JP Connors. We had played around, know that we had spoken about the idea of doing it, splitting up the logos to really emphasize, place an emphasis on each of them. And we just couldn't figure out a way to make it work without sort of diluting the brand. I think was our biggest concern, and then a little bit of liability if we were to do it as two signs. You can see on what you guys have in front of you, the thing that we thought about doing, that we played around with, was putting the logos on the placards as opposed to on the hanging sign as well. But anything else, I think, is gonna either run afoul of the size limitation, or is gonna create a little liability if we try to do two hanging signs, one under the other, have somebody run into that. Or if we're doing two signs next to each other, you're just gonna see one logo and then another logo, but you won't see both of them together, which is really the brand that we're going for, that coffee in the morning and then beer in the evening.
It's really the collaboration of the brand.
Could you grab the mic if you don't mind? Thanks.
It really boils down to the collaboration of the brand.
Yeah, no, I think we like your signs, actually, and we really like your signs, which is why this even turned into a conversation. We would have just said, sure, go ahead. Our recommendation was make it bigger, and if there was a way to separate them that worked for you, then you could capitalize on a good-looking logo or two good-looking logos. But if it doesn't work out, then that's fine too.
There are some there is some play on the large placard on the building as far as enlarging it.
I think our suggestion was maybe take, for the hanging sign, do Coffee Labs on one side, Climbing Wolf on the other, and then maybe for the building signs, you take the inverse and something like that, and do a larger logo, because I know you're limited for a size in terms of how, there's really one place where you have to put that sign and hang it, and then you're limited for how far you
Do
can.
we have more room to play with as far as the hanging sign, so it gives it a little bit either wider and maybe a couple inches out of the scope?
I don't know, we have to look at to look a little more closely, but I don't know that really gets at the issue, because you're gonna enlarge it by 15%, or, we were talking about doubling or tripling the size if you were just to have one logo per sign. But if it doesn't work out, then, and this makes more sense, I think we all like this sign, so.
Yeah, we worked back and forth with Tyler and Simon Stream, who I've used for the whole time, and he's done a lot of work here, so this was kind of his recommendation, without trying to go outside of code, but give it more cowbell.
I don't believe this.
Yeah, I think we're all, do you have a?
I agree Mike, what he said, I think the signs are stronger if somehow they have room to breathe. Marketing-wise, I think it's clear. If you want to do like coffee in the morning, beer at night, I think there are other ways to do that. But it's your business.
Yeah.
It's your decision.
Appreciate that, thank you.
No comments? No. I'd like to make a motion to approve this sign as submitted. Do I have a second?
Mike,
Oh, you have-
which one are we gonna approve?
I'm sorry, we were looking at-
The original one or the one that we just got?
So this was the original.
What's the, I assume we were talking,
That was the original setup that we're looking at, so you can see, we added the logos, and then we added logos on the other side.
Like it doesn't-
Yeah,
it's not,
so-
it's not very different. So.
yeah, no, it's fine. It's just, it's about area. So we're gonna go with this, which is the most recent, I assume? Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll,
Front works.
I got it, thank you.
okay, a motion to approve this as submitted. Do I have a second?
Second.
Brandon seconds. All in favor? Thanks, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to your shout. Next up is 78 Main for the exterior alterations.
Our office originally designed this building a few years ago, and the original concept of the building was to split it in a way that it looked like a big building and it had separate bays with different character. So in keeping with that design concept, we want to replace the existing windows with a triple slider. In the center, this will allow for better flow during the summer season for coffee labs and additional light into the space. We're keeping the existing header height, we're keeping the existing color scheme, nothing else is changing. And we're adding 2 exterior sconces on either side.
Let's see.
Your plan, does this show like a future awning or a future enclosure, exterior enclosure? Am I looking at this the wrong way?
We were not proposing any additional closure. There's already, we have an arch on one side and a furnace on this side. We didn't want to introduce anything.
I'm just looking at the construction plan and where you're proposing is here, right? So, I don't know what do these lines and a door represent on that construction plan? Or if anything, what are they?
But here,
So that's the new slider, right?
Sliding area.
yeah, these are the new sliding doors. I mean, they would like to, maybe be able to put out some exterior seating out there.
Okay.
For food, but no awning or anything.
Well, that'll be like a restaurant vestibule,
Yeah, it's just.
knockdown vestibule in the winter months, open in the summer. That's not part of this application currently, right?
No, we're just proposing.
Okay, I just want to clarify so that we're all,
Yeah.
it's just the slider, it has nothing to do with the
Yeah,
vestibule.
nothing to do
Nothing with the
sidewalk,
vestibule.
it has to
Good.
be possibly permitting, whatever.
No, I personally think that the new windows or doors that they're replacing the windows is an improvement. And the reason it's an improvement because I personally was disappointed about the detail of the stucco on the sidewalk. And I will suggest, if you can, to run some base or wainscot on the 2 sides of on either side of the window, something like, just to cover that detail, something like, you can pick up the same, like stone or whatever it is on the 2 sides, and that will, because it's really not good the way it looks now, like the stucco on the side, so it didn't turn out to be a good detail. So with that, I'm okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the other concern about this is, I mean, we always had some issues with this, the way that this window, yeah, no, I know, but the other issue is look here, so now you're putting this little molding piece above the door opening that looks sort of sad and skimpy next to what's happening adjacent, even next to this, and so I don't know, I just wonder if there's a way to kind of monumentalize the opening in such a way that it is in keeping with the scale of the two openings adjacent.
How tall are
And
they?
I'm not sure what you do here,
It's
but,
8 foot 4.
it's not small, I know, it's just, I don't know, there's just, you know, there's something kind of happening here, and I'm not sure what the right solution is, it's just this, look at this little section here, it looks like an interior door casing, door molding detail, and I don't think it's fitting on the exterior of this building where you have the arch on one side that's sort of exaggerated, and then you have the, you know, the brackets and the cornice on the other side, which is,
Well, you know that even with us, our original design, all of the windows above that opening actually had beautiful trimwork.
yeah.
The builder actually didn't do. So now in keeping with what is existing, we kind of minimized the trimwork for the new door so that it kind of tied in better with the lack of trim up in those windows right above. I think maybe we can talk to the builder who's very much involved with them, maybe adding some of that he didn't do.
So what part he didn't do? Different?
Just the trim around the windows, it's
So,
similar
but-
to the other windows.
Question for you is, this reflects the existing condition or the approved condition?
It's existing.
How is that, remember the approved condition?
The approved conditions based on the original submission for the whole building.
Yeah, whatever we approved back then.
Yeah,
That's different.
Well, yeah, they have,
No, that's what was done. So the original full drawings for the building had trim work that the building did not complete.
Okay, so they still
So you-
haven't finished
Didn't
it
yet.
yet.
yeah, so you're
Yep.
not gonna get a new
Yeah.
permit until you finish those things anyway, but,
They didn't do it yet,
Yes,
right?
Okay.
which we've been talking to him about the work that we're proposing for the exterior of his building.
Okay, so let's go in. One thing after the other. First is the issue that's the compliance with approved plans is a different issue, that's enforcement, that's.
I just don't wanna introduce a new element
Yeah.
that may not have what we had originally designed.
So let's,
I'm okay with the wainscoting, I think that's a great idea.
let's make sure that when we approve this, we approve only the windows of the door.
What's the-
not-
what's the
not
finish on the
existing
sliders?
facade.
well, yeah, no, of course, but I don't know that we're gonna, I don't see, I think that the question has to be addressed as to how to make this opening, you know, sort of, and then we're not gonna resolve that here without a new sketch, so, you know, in the meantime, we can look into the other window-related issue, and, you can get back to us with something cohesive.
How tall is the existing window, the existing door at the corner?
Well, see, it's an 8-foot door, but it has the transom panel that goes up to whatever this is, 10 feet or,
In the sketch,
You know,
it
I mean,
looks
look at-
almost the same. Oh, you're talking about this one, I was talking about this one.
oh, I guess
Look
that,
at the transom panel, it's like the simulated glass not even there.
yeah.
I propose you wanted to capitalize on that entryway. And I guess my idea, instead of going through, yes, I guess the building still isn't finished as far as window framing. But instead of really just not doing awning, just do some cleanliness, it getting old, sun faded, water dripping on people as they walk by. As we were just sitting
Damn, you
here,
simulated lights.
possible,
there.
we had a design done for our collaboration that is basically yin and yang, up early, up late, and it has both our logos, and we could put that over, and that capitalized, kind of puts an extra signage of both our logos, and it capitalizes on that new entryway.
I think our concern is the context of what you guys are proposing with the approved plans, and then what it is relative to the other part of your elevation of your storefront, right? So right now, not knowing the color and whether it has a transom with simulated divided lights in it or not, does that carry over as to one storefront? somehow
Yeah,
to
no,
tie it all
I
together.
appreciate the thought, it's just, we wanna solve this architecturally and not with signage. And I think it ultimately, it, you know, it needs to be solved. The door and the trim and the moldings need to be resolved with the rest of the building, more so than just filling a void. But, you know,
So just to be
decent
clear, as
idea.
I'm hearing it right now, we need to have Andrew, the builder, complete the original approved, design.
A-
And then,
it's-
are we looking to schedule another meeting with these plans, or is this something that, you know, how is it gonna be moving forward in terms of the steps?
Well, there's two issues. Number one is that the main issue is that I'd like to see this door, the new door, relate better to the other openings and to the adjacent architectural details. And so, that's the first issue. Now, what happens with that door has to do with what you're doing on the windows or not, is really a question for your architect. And so, if you are gonna propose a solution for this door that doesn't, for example, have that trim it's cohesive, we're fine with that. So it's not necessarily step one, install the trim, wasn't installed, it's show us something that is, where this opening makes a little more sense, has a little more, sort of substance in terms of, you know, some of the other details in the building, and then tie that together. And a part of that may be the trim detail on the window, and that'll help, or not, that's up to you.
If you just let me backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
We did a ton of schemes, actually, and originally what we had was this exact same transom with the doors beneath, and we tried to match these two windows.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, this door that we're proposing is actually a triple slider, and the entire opening will be open. So they all slide inside of the room to create this large opening. Because we want that, we need a completely separate header between the doors and the transom, which then creates,
yeah.
then the whole
Yeah, you have a
sides
beam
and
there, yeah,
everything
I
is-
understand.
It defeats the purpose, we can't have the look, so we had to remove the transom. This door already looks so much smaller than these windows and this door, so we kind of had to figure what dimension do we take? Do we take, you know, this, which is their space, or this, which is part of the building, which is the building new entrance? So we kind of were looking at this as a whole. This entry is on an angle, so in the elevation, it looks very skimpy, but in fact, that's a 3-panel, you know, 2 side lights with a door in the center, which is where we got the triple panels from for this door. I understand what you're saying in terms of the trim around the door itself, but in terms of the look of the door, I don't know what, you know, I think we can try to explore additional options, but I feel like if you change that again, then we're introducing kind of like a fourth element to this building.
But perhaps you can try the same kind of fascia that you have on the right-hand side.
The cornice,
Yeah, not as big because you don't want to call that much attention to it, but some kind of a fascia and then a cornice that ties it in.
we had proposed that originally, and the cost is so substantial, and the builder doesn't.
Just to do the fascia and the cornice?
What,
Yeah,
it's just this?
the detailing in that to wrap it and.
Yeah, no, I was just talking about doing something like that, so that, you know, you have similar look.
Yeah, I know, it's,
We have, before we decided to present, we explored so many options.
that's what Brandon was asking. I don't know, it shouldn't be in this plan, yeah, it's gotta come out of this
They're
plan.
not asking for that, But even something that's small enough, you know, which picks up on this.
Yeah,
Might look better than what we have.
Cost hardship's a hard sell for me because he hasn't even completed the building in the way it's supposed to be approved. So I wouldn't use that again.
personally don't think
Which ones?
it's devoid of that language.
This is actually the entrance, this is,
Devoid, proportionally works.
it walks into this, like, this isn't an entrance.
It's just gonna have, it's gonna look exact.
The header is higher.
He just said the header's the same, it's the same header. It's just, this is it, you're gonna see exactly what you're seeing here, except down to the ground.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4 courses of bricks. So let's see if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and somewhere in here.
Yeah.
But that's not what the architect is saying.
So it's
That's why
the
it's a
drawing
big
is
header, because it's got a pivot.
That happens all
1,
the time
2,
though.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It's just, it's gonna, this is what I'm saying, this is, it's just not substantive enough.
Look, 1, 2. This. See, this is what it's. Look at this. 1, 2, and you have it, it's over the number. So it's 1, 2, it's over here. It's not the same header.
But
It's taller.
that's, doesn't mean the drawing's right.
Well, but the drawing.
Is your header remaining the same for the window to the new door? Isn't that what you said?
Can you remind the front?
Can you bring the microphone up? So you can, we have the drawing.
If I go by the drawing, the drawing has, the header, the top of the screen or whatever it is somewhere here, so if I go by this, it's somewhere here. So,
So the existing window header is not right over the window. They actually have framed this, it's actually much higher.
The
They
header is
actually
higher,
Did
yeah.
they put the header to match this window. So these headers actually, the header is actually down here.
And then through in a window.
And
that
it's
they
just
had
filled
later
in.
on.
And it's filled in from the inside.
Ah, I see.
So we're not, we don't even need to change that header. The header is existing to remain.
So it is bigger.
so I'm saying it's,
All right, you're right.
proportionally, I don't think it's, I
And it
think
matches this dimension before the transom is what.
Yeah, I personally don't think that the proportion of the drawing, if the drawing is correct, it's fine.
Because if you can imagine, if we brought it up higher, this is gonna look like a door here.
Yeah. Yeah.
We still kind of have to treat this like the original vision, where each bay was supposed to intentionally be a little bit different.
I'm still thinking about the signage.
Like how it's approved.
Like,
Passed it, it's already approved.
Double jeopardy?
This sign is not very successful. If you put the signs and then the lights, the 2 dogs and one on each side, that would work.
He's not giving up.
Back to
I'll
Joe.
tell you what, you approve us for later, and we'll eventually put a dog and a wolf underneath those lights.
He likes the dog and wolf, but
Yeah, and that's
I like
fine.
your
I do
t-shirt.
too. We already have the
It's a
t-shirts.
great
Yeah.
logo, but putting together, it's kind of. You said it, it's a yin and yang, whatever, I didn't.
I think we're venturing into the privy here.
Yeah. Because they are nice.
You gotta let the sign go. We gotta move on.
I'm just,
I don't think we're talking about a really
Expensive.
expensive or complicated resolution. I think that right now, the way that these windows are cut in, you know this, they don't jive with the rest of the building. And you're gonna do the same thing essentially with the door. And I'm not sure what that is. Maybe you just carry a little piece around. Maybe there's some way that you articulate this center bay and the door in such a way that it enlivens those openings and relates back a little bit to the other 2 facades. And I understand that they're intended to be different, and they are, right? They're all different materials, they're slightly different openings. You're not gonna lose that overall reading of the building by articulating the opening with a little more attention and detail. So I think it's a simple solution for you and your office. So I just come back to us with something more substantive for the door and for, sort of continuing this baseline around the building for now. And then I think it'll be a simple thing for you guys to.
Yeah, I was just suggesting, like, since there is an open permit, that he should have framed everything. I just was like,
To finish?
I know, you want to move on and get going, and we want you to, but it's not going to happen tonight.
fair enough.
Um,
Just trying to get a feel.
The signs will,
Yeah.
but we don't, look, none of us have an issue with having the big doors. So I think the essential function, which is to put some cafe tables outside, have a big open space, is perfectly reasonable as far as we're concerned. I just think it boils down to a couple of, whether you do the wainscoting, detail, which I think is maybe a good addition, and just a little something here.
So the wainscoting below here and.
Some articulation of the opening, maybe some, I don't know, it's a little too, minimalist for this type of building, with a mansard roof and pitched dormers and,
Fair enough.
When you revise it, take off the vestibule.
yeah, and
Yes.
take that vestibule off unless you're gonna submit that as something, otherwise we can't approve that plan.
No problem.
Thank you guys, appreciate
Thank
it.
you. I'd like to make a motion to continue this to the next meeting, for a second.
Second.
Brandon seconds, all in favor? Unanimous? Okay, thank you. See you in a couple of weeks. Seven Summit Terrace, please.
No worries.
just a slatted door, it's
Mhm.
painted, steel slatted door. It's, you know, minimal in nature, but clean, simple appearance.
Pretty simple. I think the west elevation in particular is a big improvement over the sort of random disbursement of windows that is currently there. And garage door looks good, so
No objection?
no other comments here. Okay. Anyone?
No.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this as submitted, including the revised garage door spec. Yeah, your seconds. We're all in favor. Okay, thank you. Do you need any copies of these drawings? No. All right. Next item on the agenda is 18 Hamilton, the Burger IM. Pass this down to Dan. Dan, we're gonna just incorporate that into,
Okay, yep.
we're gonna hold on to your copy, if that's all right, and just put that in with the other drawings and specs. No, I think one signed copy.
Good evening, I'm Pankaj Shah from Panorama, representing Burger Island at 18 Hamilton Street. We are requesting a permission for putting up the two awnings, one on the front and one on the side of the building, along with some channel issues which I'm going to take. These awnings are fabricated with cabinets, cubes, umbrella canvas. The high size of the awnings are in line with the awning next to the marble. So only difference is the color. The orange color is logo color for the Burger IM, whereas the marble is orange color. The size, shape, symmetry, everything is matching to the marbles.
So the location of the sign is, you see it from the Summit Parkway, right? This is the facade.
Which is, sorry, which is the sawmill? Oh, this faces the sawmill, this one?
So this is.
And the
This
other
faces
side,
the street.
So this is, there's another one here,
Yeah.
correct? So here it is.
And as you see in this picture, it's exactly the same as Lamar's awning.
Yeah, I,
So for me
I
to
think-
understand is, this side is,
Is the,
on the side
On
you
the-
see the
Yeah, that
burger
side.
and the Lombardos on,
correct, exactly. This is where the front, right?
and the idea is that you want that to be seen from the
Mike.
Summit Parkway.
Exactly.
The next
exactly.
application.
That's why we are putting the sign here, not on
A
the
sign
front.
right next to this on the same.
yeah, that's what I was just looking at, when we had to think about this,
So it's
yeah.
in context.
So it's this guy
oh, I see.
here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
something to consider.
Yeah, it's a real conundrum here. All right, my first question is and I don't have a photograph of this, so perhaps you can help me out. This awning has for lack of a better term, a flap, as opposed to what is kind of a more traditional awning. And I realize this is not your application, but it's a good reference point. You know, where the sign is on
On the sign band.
yeah.
Right.
No, the sign is on a section that's sort of flat that actually turns and wraps, and in this case, you've got this little hanging component.
That hanging component, basically, we are matching the complete elements of the Lombardo.
Okay, so Lombardo's has
Right,
this,
and
we
that
approved this.
hanging that hanging is not a free hanging, there is a frame behind that one.
Okay, so it
it's not
doesn't,
flipped. No,
doesn't
no,
move,
no,
okay.
Right. So the complete structure is going to be welded if you don't,
Yeah.
just show it here. Just give me 1 second.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So
got a
if
frame,
the whole
yeah.
structure here,
Mm-hmm.
the whole structure
I guess
is
you
welded
moved it around.
from here to this one.
Okay, and this is what's next, this is what is the same thing as next door at Lombardo's. Okay,
Exactly,
all right, so we'll let that go.
It's not flat.
No, it's not, that's called balance. We don't have balance here. And in this area, balance is not a good idea. It will rip up very fast. High wind, that is the wind tunnel. over
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Okay. And the letter you have is
This is the channel.
this is what's going above.
Both places, Lombardo as well as that. I'm the one who submitted for the
Mhm.
Lombardo's pizza also. And just for how it will look like, one of the existing picture I have it here. Can show either one, Brookfield. So there is a backer board. Each sections are the separate pieces. Burger IM, these are the channelator like this. I and M also is a channelator like that, exactly like this way. I have another picture here, which is a Burger IM in this company. This is their trademark, their logo,
Yeah.
either 1 line or a 2 line. And if we do it, this is going to be the 9th location in this area. And this is the fabric for, I have the sample, but this is the fabric going to be used in. It's umbrella.
It's intense.
Can't miss it.
They chose the bright color, really nice color.
There's other orange options over there too.
Yeah,
The signs
what
are
can we
doing
do?
that, we are UL listed company.
Okay. Any questions about this tonight? Size-wise, it seems, I mean, I'm just eyeballing it, but I'm gonna say this is less than a third.
Yeah, we worked out the square footage. It was
Okay.
a little bigger and, they,
Oh, it was, okay, so you've already been through that, okay, all right.
It was bigger and then we were told.
Okay. Any questions, any comments? No?
So is it gonna be lighted, right?
Correct,
It'll
yes.
be lighted?
Yes.
It will be on all night?
No, it's, do we have, before I say something, does the village has any timing requirement? Then I will answer that way. Because, no, reason why I say this, I work in a town of North Hampshire also, we use sign there, and the sign has to go off 11 PM. So if I say middle of the night, I'm giving the wrong answer. That's why if the village has a requirement, then the timer will be set accordingly.
Is it considered an illuminated light or a neon light?
Could you, if you are gonna if you wanna talk, it's fine, you just gotta grab the mic, you know the drill. You've been here before.
Yes, I just wanted to ask what type of lighting will be on there. Is it
separate. So, I mean, this is a compliant sign as far as I understand. So,
And we are a UL sign company, we UL listed, our shop has like, they just came, last week they came for audit. Like, it's a routine inspection, so everything is done for our standards. Our number is there on the drawing also.
does that address your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if it was going beyond all night and if.
I will answer that part, if village doesn't have it, the sign is going to go off, 1 or 2 p.m. in the morning.
I don't have the answer to that question, but do you know if we have any?
Sure. I could look it up, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There should be, and I don't know how we.
Number on here, but
Because as it is now with all the lighting down.
I get it. I know.
Light trespass on the residents, I'm sure you're all aware of that, and nothing has been done to rectify it, so I think things have to be done prior to approval. So that's why I wanted to ask the questions now. Thank you.
Just one, the sign is not facing any residential for this house, this customer. They are facing the parkway, and of course the parkway is industrial area or something like that. But as I said, the village has it, and when we install the sign, we set the timer accordingly, and we tell customer also accordingly, that this is the time limit they have.
Both lit signs face the sawmill.
But
Both lit signs that you're applying for
But,
face the.
but I think that the issue, I think that if this is any consolation, it's not gonna address the other light issues that you're talking about. But if you look at that sign, it's a solid piece of metal on the side, and the translucent material at the front that allows you to read the sign, but isn't exactly projecting light. So I don't know that this is going to be very, very minor compared to the light coming out of the garage, for example, which is thousands of times stronger. So I can't guarantee that the sign will go off at the right time or that the owners won't change it, but I don't think this is gonna be, the sign is gonna be the issue.
one of this has nothing to do with the sign or anything, what your point is, it's right. But the LED and acrylic face, that if you see the center point of the light, if you look at the lamps over there, in the center you see the bright light, because there is no lens over that. Whereas here, there are multiple lamp spots are there, but because of this material, it diffuses that and it makes it uniform throughout this one. Unfortunately, I don't have a power supply, others have an issue with that.
Okay.
This is with the any LED sign, not only with this, any LED sign.
And that'll be the size of it, the sample there?
Well, no, the size is,
Lombardo's is
larger.
17 inches. It's a bigger than 1.5 times.
Okay. Motion to approve this sign as submitted. Do I have a second? Brandon seconds. Unanimous? Okay, thank you. And now,
The Lombardo's,
what's a separate,
separate application.
yeah,
For Lombardo.
so 10 Hamilton. So, anything for us to keep, and anything else? This is the same sign.
Same concept over there.
it's like the same application, but he had to put in 3 different ones because it's different addresses the signs are for and the awning's separate.
Okay, so, all right. We just approved the awning.
Yep.
Like to make a motion that we approve the sign for 18 Hamilton Street, the Burger IM. Do I have a second?
Second.
Brandon seconds. We're unanimous. And now on to 10 Hamilton Street, the sign for Lombardo's. And again, you've already covered the question of area. And this is the same type of sign.
Same exact concept, same mounting, same backer board to make it uniform also.
Yeah.
Because originally Lombardo did not have this blue backer. Landlord came up and said, like, can you make something so that it looks uniform there?
Mhm.
So we added this element, blue element. to it.
And what is the light that I'm seeing?
This light,
Yeah.
that's what I just looked at it. I will be talking to the management company and see if they can remove that.
Just an existing exterior light.
It's an existing.
Yeah, so, okay. Yeah, remove that thing.
Or if they can relocate to lower side.
We had some of those removed on the back of the building because of the light trespass, so I'm sure they could remove that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important point. I mean, I also, is that a parking lot we're looking at? I mean, there is a question of, you know,
No, this is just a walkway through here.
Okay.
There is no car going. Car stops at this point and.
so is there any reason for someone to walk back there? Maintenance?
They have the entrance on the back, like service entrance or something.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
why this light might be there. So I have to talk to management.
But you can lower that lighting to.
I think those lights can be very low and address this question and,
I will talk to the property management. I'm a sign company, so I will talk to them because of electricals and everything.
Okay.
I'll bring it.
To light
Can
the
we-
path.
can we
no-
approve
Yeah, they-
contingent on
they-
moving the
they-
light?
they-
Right?
yeah.
of course.
We'll do that.
I know that you can't answer this question because this is up to the building, but I think as part of this application, part of the approval, we're going to make it contingent on moving that light down. Number one, I know you can't answer that question, someone else will have to, but
No,
we can.
the thing is, I can answer that question is, as a part of approval, that this light has to go down and they are going to do that.
Okay.
They are going to.
Put that with a,
Can
with the condition.
I ask you a question? I see that there is a light to the left, to the left of the awning, the orange awning. There.
This one.
That's a light, correct?
And
Yeah.
That one, yes.
It looks like it.
That's the
Looks
element
like
of
a
the building. That's not the light. It's an element of the building.
Well, that's, what I'm trying to say is that would be the acceptable.
No,
height
if
of
you
the
look
new
at,
light.
if you go back to the Burger IM and you look at this corner, those are sconce fixtures
Right, on
Yes.
both sides.
on both sides and they're projecting.
And then on the third side too.
So if you add one more light on the.
Yeah, and that has a kind of a shade that will keep,
Funny they have
you know, it'll illuminate the path, but will prevent a lot of the,
Yeah.
They
exactly,
don't
yeah.
use it. They're not illuminated.
Do you see those?
This is the light.
On the
right.
last,
So if we just took another one of those and moved
In
it down,
fact, this is the light too, and I can tell them to remove this one.
remove that, and if they need to illuminate the path, they can add another one of those towards, the-
Adding on this corner. I
That's
will
it.
tell them to do that one.
That's it.
just like keep in mind, this is actually when it's lit.
yeah,
For some reason, they took it at either in the evening. Everything else is on except for every one of those consoles.
yeah.
So I don't know whether that's
If they're
just,
working or
well,
not.
it might be on
On a
a
separate-
toggle on
on a
the
separate, yeah.
inside, because that's unoccupied, maybe they
Yeah.
don't use it.
Yeah. Well, if they need to illuminate the path for whatever service door,
It would have to be a 24-hour
yeah, then they're.
timer anyway, or timer.
It would be on the same timer. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion, we approve the 10 Hamilton Street sign with the stipulation that the large floodlight that is high up in the location of the proposed sign be removed, and that if additional illumination is required for that walkway, that a sconce fixture to match the others
End of the.
Same height.
will be installed at the same height and the same type fixture and, somewhere on the left side, under the sign. Do I have a second? Yeah, your seconds? Unanimous? Okay, thank you. One light down. 20 Cedar Street, please.
Good evening, my name is Maya Lesson. I'm calling from Policeman Signs, representing 20 Cedar, Downstairs Pizza. It's an existing awning, which is covered, same color, white letters.
So you're just changing the lettering?
We're gonna change the
I
we're
see.
changing same color fabric, but it's gonna be new fabric.
And you're just,
So the text is gonna be this.
the text is just gonna say 20, the phone number, and Dobbs Ferry?
It's going to say Dobbsbury Pizza.
Ah,
No, that's the picture that's there now.
Ah,
It's
okay.
updated, the new one says it's Dobbsbury Pizza.
so it's gonna be same font?
Do you have something,
The fabric,
or do you just?
I submitted a picture.
Yeah, that's just the existing.
All we got is the existing? That's what I'm asking.
This is what we got in the building department to send out, this is the 11 copies they dropped off.
I submitted on, that's the picture from the sides. I dropped them off like 2 months ago.
Do you have a copy of what you submitted?
No, no.
On your phone,
Yeah,
something? You gotta help us out.
No, I made so many copies, I printed them all.
Not that one, right?
Yes, that's the one.
That's it? There's
Dubs-
only
I'm sorry,
one
Dubs
cop-
Castle. Dubs
Yeah.
Castle. Thank you so much.
Because I think only one copy was dropped off for that.
So that's the name, Dove's Castle
Dubs
Pizza?
Castle, sorry.
Okay.
Same, isn't even bigger.
It's sort of at a scale. I mean, the thing is it's, if the number is the same, it actually looks smaller. It's kind of,
Oh, I know, right? Because this is tall and what's the excess one? I don't think this picture
12.
is.
So this is showing 12 inches by 36.
It's
That
just
looks about right. I mean, it looks
yeah, it's just deceptive. You see
Yeah.
the difference
Yeah.
between here and there.
consistent.
That one looks a little taller. Which is why the writing looks.
I think it's fine. I think it's going exactly like this. Okay, we're all set. I think it looks fine. No other comments, no neighbors. I'd like to make a motion to approve this sign as submitted. Do I have a second? Any other seconds? We're unanimous? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, can I
Good
just
night.
have that, John?
No minutes to review, so a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Yeah, your seconds. We're unanimous. Meeting's adjourned. Good night.